school when the Avengers came. Kind of strange that it's all over now. No one's coming to save the day.
I think we are. We can be the ones that are coming.
Buck, you have the wrong people. We have all done bad things.
Look, I've been where you are. The past doesn't go away. So you can either live with it forever, or you can do something about it.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, it may only be spring, but being in May means that it becomes the start of the summer movie season, and what a way to kick things off with a tentpole release from Marvel Studios, Thunderbolts, asterisk. We've got to make sure we remember the asterisk. Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, John Walker, Ghost, Taskmaster. At one point or another, all of these characters were regarded as the bad guys, screw-ups, failures. But when all of these bodies find themselves convening, and with the mysterious Valentina Allegra de Fontaine being the common thread, these band of misfits will have no choice but to join forces to face off against an incredibly dangerous threat. Now, I'm not going to spend the first portion of my review dragging Marvel's name through the mud, saying how the projects just haven't been working, there's no vision anymore, to then loudly proclaim that after seeing this film, Marvel is back. In my honest opinion, Marvel have been back for a fair amount of time. Okay, not every project has been a smash runaway hit, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I have jumped from the Marvel train. I've been a fan. I've enjoyed what they have been doing, but I cannot deny that there have been some people that have. I know for a fact that people have become disenfranchised with the franchise itself, and that's because the model itself was failing. Films or shows were requiring you to have called up on every single bit of information and every single project that had come out. They were coming out so thick and fast that unless you were a die-hard fan, no one was going to catch up on this. Therefore, what I will say is that for any disillusioned fans who have begun to check out of the MCU, if you're listening, Thunderbolts Asterisk will likely have you back on board. The main group, besides Bucky, consists of characters that you may not have extensive knowledge on. Yelena, Red Guardian, and Taskmaster all appeared in the Black Widow solo movie. John Walker showed up in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Ghost was way back in Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're all characters who, if you are kind of just a general fan, you're vaguely familiar with, or for the wider public, you may never have come across before. But the film doesn't depend on you knowing these characters inside and out. The only film that I say is probably worth watching beforehand is Black Widow, and that's only so you can just get a better appreciation for Yelena, because her story is the crux of this movie. But not being familiar with the characters, I guess, is kind of the point of the film. These characters are randomly put together. Their union is unorthodox. They don't play well together. They're scrappy. They cut corners. They are simply not used to being the heroes. But watching their bond grow and develop through the film is a delight. Florence Pugh re-emphasizes her dominant stardom as Yelena. Pugh is excellent in the action, opting to do a significant amount of her own stunts, including a jaw-dropping base jump from the top of the second tallest building in the world. Seeing that in IMAX was exceptionally impressive. But in amongst the scissorhead takedowns and the dry sarcastic wit, Yelena's emotional journey speaks to what Thunderbolts Asterisk's overall message is, and that is being open and honest with yourself and your mental health. Yeah, not exactly what I think anyone expected in a $200 million superhero movie, but Thunderbolts Asterisk's honesty, to be frank about themes of loneliness and suppressed emotion, is the film's driving force. These characters weren't plucked out at random. All of them are harboring deep, personal struggles, and rather than attempt to dazzle us with flashy comic book scenes of action, director Jake Schreier and his screenwriting team always prioritize character and emotion first. David Harbour is hilarious as always as Red Guardian, but he's stuck in a rut. in a world where no one cares for his legacy. John Walker is plagued by past mistakes and public failures. Ghost is still haunted by her torturous past and treated only as an experiment. Taskmaster is in the film. Bucky is tentatively explored in the film. However, that guy has been through enough as it is, so much of his trauma is already known. And instead, Sebastian Stan acts as an anchor for the MCU, essentially a teacher. And then there's Bob. Now, what can I say about Bob that doesn't go into spoilers? Not much, really. So I'm going to put a timestamp here, because I am going to have to discuss certain elements of Bob's character that aren't really given away in the trailers. So if you are wanting to remain spoiler free, please click to this timestamp, and you will skip past all to do with Bob. Okay, so we find out Bob is not just Bob. We soon discover that as part of Valentina's experimentation, he has become the Sentry, an unstoppable weapon who is essentially invincible. Played by Pullman, who I have to say is the spitting image of his father. It is uncanny. Bob/Sentry is a fascinating character. Someone who is drowning in fear, insecurity, and self-loathing that when given unlimited power wreaks havoc. The Sentry is a unique antagonist because his motivations are profoundly human and not just some superficial comic book villain incentive. Now, even though I alluded to the fact that sometimes in Thunderbolts Asterisks, the fights aren't always resolved in shootouts or fisticuffs, that doesn't mean that the action isn't impressive. It is. It's actually very well shot. It's practical too. We get practical stunts, practical sets. It looks as if hardly a drop of green screen was used. Thunderbolts Asterisk also does contain plenty of that trademark MCU humor, but what I was so pleased to see is that the jokes never undo any heightened emotion or tension. They let that play out uninterrupted. The jokes are there for levity, to kind of get you on board with the characters, especially from the perspective of Red Guardian. But a lot of that overbearing jokey tone that we have seen in previous MCU projects, that just is not here. If I have any negatives, I do have a couple comments about the pacing. It comes in at a very crisp 2 hours, which I loved. It never drags for a moment. However, at the hour mark, I only realized that they were just wrapping up the overall setup. And you look at the runtime and you think, oh, well, we have another hour to raise the stakes even higher and then throw in a conclusion. And all of that was just a little bit rushed for my liking. I think that somewhere along the line you could have added 10, maybe even 20 minutes just to bulk the movie out a little more in the middle act. I also believe that the film would have benefited from a stronger soundtrack. The score by Sun Lux, pretty solid, really good. But given the wild personalities and unorthodox team, I think building a fun, lively soundtrack would have bolstered the movie up even more. Now, for anyone wondering why I keep referring to Thunderbolts asterisk with the asterisk and why you've seen it on all the marketing, prior to seeing the movie, I know, I was perplexed too. I didn't understand it. It seemed to make no sense to me. But the film does give you an answer, and I really like the answer it gave. And it's a pretty ballsy and unique marketing strategy. And as always, it wouldn't be a Marvel movie if there weren't some post-credit stingers to whet your appetite. And they do it in the correct order too. We get a mid-credit scene that is a jokey one. It's something to make you laugh. But the post-credit scene, the one that rewards you for sticking around, is an absolute banger. And really begins to set the table for where this saga is heading. I'm not going to give any more hints, but the fact that this post-credit scene got an applause from my screening, and that is something I have not seen or heard in a long, long time, I think speaks volumes. If you've been by the side of the MCU through thick and thin, but have enjoyed their latest offerings, then Thunderbolts Asterisk will definitely have you on board, as it enhances previously known characters and begins to take the universe to exciting new corners. However, for those who have often felt out of the loop, I'd recommend taking a punt here. It feels like a classic Marvel movie both in tone and execution. I appreciate that it opts for a mature approach to some of the conflicts and in amongst the action, always prioritizes character first. Thunderbolts Asterisk is absolutely the jolt that the multiverse saga of the MCU needed. So I'm going to give Thunderbolts Asterisk an 8.5 out of 10. So, those are my thoughts on Thunderbolts Asterisk. Let me know, have you had a chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And my question to you, we're now well into the multiverse saga, so what I want to know is, who is your favourite character that has been introduced in this saga? So, we're not counting anyone that showed up in the Infinity Saga, Phase 1, 2, and 3, they're off the table. I'm talking about from Phase 4 onwards. Who is the character that has impressed you and become your new favourite? For me, I really liked Shang-Chi, but we haven't really seen much of him lately. I'm going to say Yelena. I think she was fantastic in Black Widow. I love Florence Pugh, and she is a real standout in this film. But that's all the time we have for today. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.